Good morning, dear friend. Imagine stepping out onto your little porch, still cradling a warm mug of tea in your hands. The sun is gentle today, filtering through branches and warming your cheek. Below your feet, the ground is cool, firm, quiet. You glance at a small corner of your garden, not wide, not grand, but filled with character. And there, nestled between green leaves and shaded pots, a simple stone catches the light. It's smooth, weathered, unmoved by rain or wind. There's something about it, isn't there? Something ancient and comforting, like it's always been waiting for you to notice it. That's the quiet magic of stone. You see, you don't need a sprawling garden or a big budget to create beauty. You don't need youth or strength to build something meaningful. All you need is imagination time and a sense of wonder. Because with stone, the oldest, most enduring material on earth, you can shape a garden that reflects your soul, peaceful, grounded, and full of stories. Whether you have a slim walkway, a balcony corner, or just a single raised bed, today's ideas are made for you. We'll explore 20 brilliant senior-friendly ways to bring art, structure, and emotion into your garden, using stones of all shapes and sizes. Each idea is not just practical, it's a quiet little moment of joy. Many of them can be made with thrifted finds, reclaimed materials, or even stones you've gathered during walks through life. You've likely walked by stones 1,000 times without thinking twice, but today we'll stop. We'll see. And perhaps we'll begin to build. So pull on your softest cardigan, take a slow sip, and come wander with me. Let's uncover how stone, steady, silent, and full of memory, can make even the smallest garden feel like a sacred living sanctuary. Do you remember the quiet calm of evenings long ago, when the porch light flickered on at dusk and the world seemed to pause for a moment? That same feeling lives in the glow of a stone lantern, a garden element as old as tea, rituals and as gentle as a whispered prayer. The Japanese-style stone lantern, or toro, was traditionally placed near paths, ponds, or shrines, not just to provide light, but to offer peace. And in a small garden like yours, it doesn't take much space to do just that. Start with a stone lantern that suits your spirit. There are many shapes: squat pedestal lanterns with wide tops, tall pagoda-style pieces, or even simple tabletop designs for porches and patios. You don't need anything heavy or elaborate. Many versions today are made from lightweight cast stone or resin, with a weathered stone look just as beautiful but much easier on your back and hands. Place it somewhere that invites pause, at the end of a stepping path beside your favorite flower pot, or near your sitting chair. If your lantern has a hollow center tuck and a small solar light or LED candle, that soft glow at dusk feels like the garden is quietly exhaling, saying thank you for another day. If your style leans toward the modern, a geometric lantern with clean lines brings elegant simplicity. Prefer vintage charm. Choose one with mossy curves or a rough finish, like something from an old monastery garden. And here's the most beautiful part: you only need one. Just one well-placed lantern to create a sense of sacred space. Something to mark a corner of your garden, not with boldness, but with presence. The lantern becomes more than decor. It becomes an anchor, a place to rest your gaze, a gentle keeper of light even when the day grows dim. And just like you, dear friend, it may sit quietly, but it offers something warm, steady, and full of grace. Do you still have pieces of broken china tucked away in a drawer, a chipped plate from long ago, a teacup too pretty to toss, or colorful tiles left over from an old project? In the right hands, even these fragments, these seemingly forgotten bits, can come together to tell a story. That's the heart of a mosaic wall, a place where memory becomes art. In a small garden space is precious. We don't always have room for large sculptures or wide flower beds, but a bare wall or fence, that's a canvas waiting to bloom. A mosaic wall made from stones, tiles, and ceramics can transform even the dullest backdrop into something alive and personal. Begin by choosing your surface. A brick wall, wooden fence panel, or even a freestanding garden board will do. Then gather your materials: smooth river stones, glass beads, broken pottery, or colorful thrift store plates all work beautifully. Arrange them in a design that speaks to you, perhaps a sunburst, a flowing vine, a flock of birds, or simply abstract swirls. You don't need to follow a pattern. In fact, the more spontaneous, the more soulful it feels. If bending is difficult, try working on a tabletop panel first. Use lightweight boards you can decorate flat, then hang vertically when complete. For adhesion, many seniors find pre-mixed tile glue or garden-safe silicone easiest to manage, no mixing or fussing required. Want a Mediterranean touch? Use blue and white tiles with terracotta accents. Prefer a more Zen-inspired feel? Stick with slate gray and smooth white pebbles. The beauty is that it's entirely yours, your colors, your rhythm, your hands, placing each piece with care. Once complete, frame the mosaic with climbing vines like jasmine or morning glory, or install a simple solar light above to make it glow in the evenings. Every time you walk past, it'll catch your eye and maybe even your breath. Guests will pause asking, "Did you make this?" And you'll smile because yes, you did. More than decoration, this is a patchwork of moments. A tea saucer from a friend who's now gone. A river stone from a walk last spring. A tile picked up at the thrift store because it reminded you of home. They come together like we do into something whole. A mosaic wall says I was here. I made something. I remembered. And for a small space garden, there's no greater luxury than a wall that tells a story, quietly, beautifully, and with meaning. Do you remember skipping stones on a still pond, watching the ripples spread outward in perfect circles? There's something about that motion, soft, steady, unhurried, that mirrors the rhythm we often seek in our lives now. A stepping stone circle in your garden can bring that same ripple of calm, inviting you to slow your step. Breathe deeper and feel centered in your space. Unlike a straight path which leads you from one place to another, a circular stone layout holds its own. It doesn't rush you, it invites you to linger. To create one, begin with a focal point. Perhaps a tree, a statue, or even an empty spot that deserves a little love. Then place flat stones in a ring around it, radiating outward like sun rays or water ripples. These can be store-bought stepping stones, reclaimed flagstone pieces, or even DIY cement pavers made in old pie pans or plant saucers. If you're not keen on lifting, enlist a helper for placement, but the layout itself is low to the ground and doesn't require digging or tools. Leave small gaps between each stone for grass moss or pea gravel to peek through. These soft spaces create contrast and cushion both visually and underfoot. Over time, nature will soften the lines and your stepping circle will begin to feel as if it's always been there. What makes this design so magical for small gardens is its ability to transform space without overwhelming it. A simple circle thoughtfully placed draws the eye inward, making the garden feel more intentional, more peaceful, more whole. If you're working with a square patio or narrow yard, a stone circle can help break up the straight edges and add a sense of movement without clutter. You might sit nearby with your morning coffee, tracing the circle with your eyes like a quiet meditation. Or maybe your grandchild will tiptoe across the stones, balancing and laughing, turning it into a secret game. And as the light shifts through the day, morning mist, golden noon, evening shadow, the circle holds steady like a little heartbeat within your garden. You see, a stone path doesn't always have to go somewhere. Sometimes it can just be a reminder, perhaps, that you've come far enough. That rest is a worthy destination. That stillness, shaped by your own hands, is its own kind of beauty. There's something sacred about a stack of stones. Simple, quiet, unmoving, yet balanced with care. You may have seen them on hiking trails or mountain paths, those small towers of rocks built by travelers before you. In gardens, these cairns take on new meaning. They're no longer just markers, they become meditations. Gentle reminders that even in stillness there is strength. To make your own garden cairn, you don't need tools, glue, or even much space. All you need are your hands, your breath, and a few good stones. Start by gathering stones of different sizes and shapes, smooth river rocks, flat slate, or even rough bits of broken concrete. You can find them in your own yard, at the garden center, or even on peaceful walks. Don't worry if they're imperfect. In fact, it's the imperfections that make the cairn come alive. Choose a quiet spot, maybe a corner of your flower bed beside a small water feature or tucked near your favorite bench. Begin with a wide, sturdy base stone. Then slowly add one stone at a time, feeling for the balance point. Let your hands guide you. This isn't about perfection, it's about patience. It may take a few tries. The stones may tumble. That's all part of the practice. Some people build tall cairns, stacking 5 or 6 stones high. Others prefer smaller ones, just 2 or 3 placed here and there throughout the garden. Either way, they draw the eye without shouting. They say, "Look closer. Be still." And for those with limited strength or mobility, this project is gentle and manageable. You can create a cairn while seated on a garden stool or even at a tabletop using smaller stones. No bending, no lifting, just soft focus and quiet placement. Want to make your cairn glow at night? Place a solar-powered tea light at the base or nestle it near a path where low lighting can cast shadows upward. It becomes a beacon, a small, steady flame in stone. If you're feeling creative, you can add a story to your cairn. Perhaps each stone represents something: a loved one, a memory, a hope. Or perhaps it's simply a ritual you return to now and then restacking the stones as seasons change. You'll find that cairns often become more than just decor. They're little soul markers. They speak without words. They stand with grace even as the world moves around them. And maybe in building them, we remember that we too can stay balanced even when the shapes of our days begin to change. Can you still recall the warmth of an old campfire? The way everyone seemed to draw a little closer, not just for heat, but for connection. A stone fire pit brings that same feeling into your garden. Even if your space is small, it becomes a gathering place, a storytelling circle, a quiet hearth beneath the stars. And you don't need a big yard to create one. A traditional fire pit begins with a circle, a shape of welcome. You can use stacked stones, bricks, or even repurposed concrete blocks to build the outer wall. Some people prefer the rugged charm of irregular rocks, while others go for the neatness of matching stones. Either way, make sure their heat-safe granite, basalt, and fire bricks work beautifully. If lifting and hauling isn't ideal for you, consider a tabletop version. These can be made with a shallow ceramic bowl, some smooth pebbles, and a gel fuel canister. Just as lovely, just as cozy, and no heavy materials required. You can even find kits at garden centers or Dollar Tree, perfect for scaling the project to your comfort level. Once placed, surround the pit with a gravel or stone bed to keep the area neat and safe. Add a few sturdy garden chairs or a weatherproof bench nearby. You might tuck in a soft blanket or some citronella candles. And when evening comes, light a small flame and just be. The beauty of a fire pit is not only in its function, but in what it invites: warmth, quiet conversation. You can roast a marshmallow with your grandkids, sip a cup of cider under the moon, or simply watch the flickering light dance on your flowers as the day winds down. And it's not just a place for people. Birds are drawn to the warmth. The glow invites gentle moths. The circle itself becomes a symbol of inclusion, of memory and meaning. Even during the day when the flames are resting, your stone fire pit acts like sculpture. It anchors the space. It says, "Here. Here is where we gather. Here is where we rest." For those with limited mobility, design your fire pit area to be level and accessible, with a firm path leading to it and raised seats that are easy to rise from. Make it a place you want to return to again and again, even if just for a few minutes of sun on your face. Because what you're really building isn't just a fire pit. It's a ritual, a warmth that glows without needing to speak, a little circle of belonging. And in a garden that's small, that glow feels even bigger. Close your eyes for a moment. Can you hear it? That soft trickle of water, like a gentle sigh, flowing through the garden. There's something about moving water that eases the heart. It hushes the noise in our heads and draws us into the moment. A small stone fountain can bring that same serenity to your garden, even if all you have is a little patio or a cozy corner by the wall. You don't need grand plumbing or a team of installers. In fact, most stone water features today are incredibly simple to set up and surprisingly affordable. Start with the base: a shallow basin, a large ceramic pot, or even a sturdy plastic container buried into the ground or disguised by gravel. Add a solar-powered or recirculating water pump, both of which are quiet and low maintenance. Then, for the magic, choose your stones. Stack them in layers, letting water cascade from one to the next like a miniature waterfall. Smooth river rocks, flat slate, or even porous lava stone work beautifully. You can keep it clean and minimal, or arrange them in a more natural flowing pattern that mimics a tiny mountain spring. The sound doesn't need to be loud, just enough to create a peaceful presence. Something to listen to while you sip your morning tea or water the nearby herbs. If bending or lifting is difficult, there are tabletop options that are just as soothing. These smaller fountains can sit on a patio table or plant stand, close enough to touch, hear, and enjoy without strain. Many come pre-assembled and plug into a simple outlet, or run on solar power. And the beauty of a fountain isn't just in the sound, it's in what it attracts. Birds flutter in for a drink. Butterflies pause to dip. Even on the hottest days, your garden feels cooler, softer, more alive. To elevate the look, surround the base with soft greenery, ferns, moss, or trailing vines. Add a few pebbles or a favorite stone you've collected over the years. Tuck in a small lantern nearby for evenings. Over time, your little water corner becomes a sanctuary, a place of rhythm and reflection. It also pairs beautifully with other garden features. Place it near your cairn, your fire pit, or your pebble path. Let it become a connecting thread, the quiet breath running through the body of your space. And here's a secret you may find, that this little fountain doesn't just soothe your garden. It soothes you. Because in a world that moves fast and speaks loudly, your fountain whispers, "Be still. You're home now." Have you ever traced your finger in the sand, swirling it into a gentle spiral? There's something ancient in that motion. It shows up in seashells and galaxies, even in the way a fern unfurls. Spirals are symbols of growth, movement, and sacred space, and they belong beautifully in a garden. A spiral stone garden isn't just a planting bed, it's a slow walk inward, both for the eyes and for the spirit. And it's perfectly suited for small spaces because it makes a corner feel layered, dynamic, and full of flow. To create one, begin by marking a soft spiral on the ground with string or a garden hose. Start wide, then gently curve inward like a cinnamon roll or a curled vine. This can be done in a square backyard, a rounded patio edge, or even in an awkward, unused section of your garden. Next, line the edges of your spiral with small boulders, chunky stones, or reclaimed bricks. These act as a low retaining wall, defining the path and holding in soil as you build the levels. Keep the outer ring a bit lower, then raise the inner sections gradually, almost like a coiled hill. You don't need to dig deep or lift anything too heavy. Just a slow layering of earth and stone shaped with care. Once the spiral is formed, begin planting. On the outer, sunnier edges, you might place herbs like rosemary, lavender, or thyme. As the spiral moves inward and becomes more shaded, try soft mosses, mint, or ground covers. If the spiral is tall enough, you can even plant small succulents along the stone edges. They'll tuck in naturally, like they've always been there. The result is a miniature landscape full of texture, color, and fragrance. A spiral of intention. For those with limited mobility, this garden offers a bonus. It brings the plants up to you. There's less bending, more reach. And the winding layout creates natural walking paths that invite slow movement and gentle tending. Want to make your spiral feel even more magical? Add a stone at the center, a smooth round one, as a quiet focal point. Or place a small lantern there, glowing at night like a warm heartbeat. The spiral garden also makes a wonderful place for reflection. You might walk it slowly like a labyrinth, pausing as you pass each plant. Or sit beside it in the evenings, watching how the shadows curl through its curves. Because in the end, this isn't just a garden bed. It's a symbol. A gesture, a shape that mirrors the rhythm of life itself, not straight, not rushed, but gently winding inward toward meaning. And as you build it stone by stone, you may notice something softening within you too. Do you remember walking barefoot as a child, along a gravel path, over warm stones, toes feeling every bump and groove? There's something tender and grounding about connecting with the earth that way. In your garden now, you can bring that same joy and texture back gently and beautifully through a pebble mosaic pathway. A trail that doesn't just guide your steps, but tells a quiet story with each one. Unlike traditional paver paths or plain gravel walkways, a pebble mosaic is art beneath your feet. It's a tapestry of stone-smooth river pebbles, beach-washed rocks, or hand-picked stones from your travels arranged into gentle patterns that shimmer in sunlight and sing after the rain. And here's the best part, you don't need a long path or a big garden. Even a few feet of pebbled trail between raised beds beside a bench or under a potting shelf can become a meaningful feature, one that delights you every time you pass by. To begin, choose your base. A simple concrete mix or strong garden adhesive can hold the pebbles in place if you'd like a more permanent mosaic. But if you prefer flexibility or ease, consider placing them dry in a shallow trench, then edging the sides with bricks or larger flat stones to keep everything tidy. Then, gather your materials. River pebbles in earth tones feel natural and grounding. White stones add brightness. Dark basalt or smooth black glass pebbles create lovely contrast. You can arrange them in swirls, waves, spirals, or leaf shapes, whatever moves you. If kneeling or bending is a challenge, consider laying the design in sections on removable panels. Work at a table, then set them into place when finished. Or ask a family member or neighbor to help with placement while you guide the pattern like a conductor leading a quiet symphony. A well-placed mosaic doesn't just catch the eye, it invites you to pause, to take your steps more slowly, to notice. And isn't that what gardening and aging gracefully is really about? In the evenings, the low angle of the sun will cast tiny shadows between the stones. After rain, the pebbles gleam like they've just been polished. And if you dare to walk it barefoot, you might even feel a little younger, a little more awake. Add a few lanterns along the edge or frame it with soft thyme or moss. Let your pebble path become a bridge between beauty and function, past and present, stillness and motion. Because this is no ordinary path. It's a poem in stone, a gentle reminder with every step that life is still full of detail, texture, and small, meaningful moments. Not everything in your garden needs to bloom or move to be beautiful. Sometimes the most powerful presence is the one that simply stays. A cluster of polished or naturally smooth boulders placed with care can bring a quiet strength to your garden. These stones don't demand attention. They hold it. Like a wise elder seated silently in a room, they give the space a sense of peace, gravity, and balance. This is what we call a boulder cluster, a minimalist yet deeply grounding feature that works wonderfully in small spaces. You don't need a huge yard to make it work. Even 3 stones placed thoughtfully in a corner bed or beside your seating area can transform the energy of the space. Choose stones with rounded edges and soft surfaces, the kind that feel good under your hand. You might find them at a local garden center, a riverbed walk, or even in your own backyard. Look for variations in size and shape, but keep a natural harmony between them. Odd numbers like 3 or 5 often feel more organic than pairs. Arrange them in a loose triangle or gentle arc. Let the tallest one serve as a quiet anchor with smaller stones nestled nearby like companions. Set them into a gravel bed or surround them with moss thyme or ornamental grass. This helps the stones feel rooted, not just placed as if the garden grew around them. If you prefer a more polished look, some stones are available with a smooth, water-washed finish that reflects light like glass. These are especially beautiful near reflective surfaces or under lantern glow at night. And don't think of this as just a design element. These boulders can also be practical, a place to rest, a watering can anchor a garden lantern, or hold the edge of a tarp on windy days. Some gardeners even place a special rock as a memory stone, engraved with a name, a date, or simply left as a silent tribute to someone they love. For older hands, the beauty of this idea lies in its ease. No watering, no pruning, no digging, just presence. The stones do their work simply by being there. Over time, as lichens or moss begin to touch their surfaces, these stones only grow more beautiful. They weather gently, just as we do, softened by the seasons, made more meaningful by the years. So if you're looking for a way to add calm without clutter, depth without effort, consider adding a cluster of stones to your garden. They won't bloom, but they will glow. They won't grow, but they will stay. And in their stillness, you may find a reflection of your own, steady, wise, and full of quiet power. If your garden has more vertical space than floor room, a wall, a fence, even the side of a small shed, then you hold something full of untapped beauty. Imagine that wall not as a divider, but as a canvas. Imagine stone and greenery blending together into one living sculpture. That's the magic of a stone wall planter, a structure that turns upward, reaching toward light, spilling with life from every crevice. You don't need a grand rock wall to create this effect. Even a few stacked stones along the edge of a raised bed or faux stone panels mounted on a wall can become the foundation for something lush and personal. Start with a strong vertical surface, a wooden fence brick wall, or even a freestanding trellis or planter frame. Then incorporate stones with pockets, or attach small planters that resemble stone into the design. You can use cement planter pockets, half pots, or even thrifted kitchen bowls with drainage holes drilled into them. Space them out across the wall in a pleasing pattern, staggered spiraling or framed like art. Next comes the green tuck in succulents like hens and chicks trailing vines like creeping jenny or herbs like oregano and thyme. These plants are not only drought-tolerant and easy to maintain, but they thrive in tight spaces and shallow soil. Their roots will settle into the cool pockets between stone, their leaves spilling downward in gentle waves. And the contrast? It's breathtaking. The rough, grounded strength of the stone meets the soft, ever-changing grace of plants. It's like watching age and youth dance together in harmony. A visual reminder that beauty lies not just in what we add, but in how we balance. To make your living wall glow in the evenings, install a few solar uplights at the base. The shadows will cast upward, playing across leaves and stone, turning your garden corner into a soft, lit work of art. It's perfect for patios, narrow alleyways, or balcony railings, and for accessibility. This project is wonderfully adaptable. Since it rises to eye level, you won't need to kneel or bend. Watering can be done gently with a handheld spray bottle, or even a small drip line if you prefer ease. Over time, your stone wall will begin to feel like a living memory board, each plant reflecting a season, a mood, or even a gift from a friend. You might tuck a small wind chime nearby, or a painted rock with a kind word. It becomes more than a garden feature. It becomes a presence, a reminder that no matter how little space you have, there is always room for something to grow. Always a patch of light to reach for. Always a way to soften the hardest surfaces, just like life has softened you. Your wall doesn't just hold your garden, it becomes part of it. There are some days when the body asks us to slow down, when the hands aren't quite steady, or the knees whisper that it's time to sit. But even in those quieter moments, the garden can still bloom around you right on your table. That's the beauty of a tabletop Zen garden tray. It's small, simple, and deeply meditative, a moment of calm you can create with just a few stones and a bit of sand. These miniature gardens are inspired by the traditional Japanese karasan-sui dry landscapes that use sandstone and gentle lines to reflect rivers, mountains, and sky. And though they are small enough to fit on a patio table or windowsill, their impact can be deeply soothing. Start with a shallow tray. This could be a wooden drawer, a vintage picture frame with the glass removed, or a thrifted baking dish. Fill it with fine sand-white tan or even black depending on your style. You can find special sand at garden centers, but even clean craft sand will do. Then come the stones. Choose 2 or 3 each with a different character. One might be smooth and round like a worn river pebble. Another might be jagged and tall like a tiny mountain. Their placement isn't random. It's intentional. A little moment of design, like arranging your thoughts before speaking. Now take a small rake or even a fork or wooden chopstick and draw lines through the sand. Flowing waves around the stones, radiating ripples, straight lines of stillness. There's no right or wrong, just movement, rhythm, and breath. You might find yourself raking, erasing, and raking again, not out of frustration, but as a quiet ritual. For many older gardeners, this project is a gift. It doesn't require bending, lifting, or weatherproof materials. It doesn't matter if it rains or if your knees ache that day. The Zen tray meets you right where you are, on the porch, at your kitchen table, or beside your favorite chair. You can customize it with seasonal touches: a red maple leaf in autumn, a tiny pine sprig in winter, or a shell from a summer walk. You might even tuck in a single candle or tea light for gentle evening light. And perhaps most beautifully, this garden never overgrows. It never wilts. It never demands. It simply waits for you, ready to be shaped, smoothed, and rearranged as your day allows. In a world that moves so fast, a Zen garden offers something rare: pause. It reminds us that peace isn't found in finishing things, but in tending to them slowly with love, just like we tend to ourselves. Sometimes the simplest things carry the most warmth. A handwritten note, a gentle smile, or a small stone hand-painted with care resting quietly in the garden waiting to be noticed. These are kindness stones, not just decorations, but tiny messengers of hope, comfort, and joy. And they are so easy to create, no special skills. No heavy lifting, just a little color, a little time, and a lot of heart. Begin with a few small stones. Smooth ones work best. You can gather them during walks, find them in the yard, or pick up a small bag from the craft store or garden center. Wash and dry them thoroughly, then choose the ones that speak to you. Some might be heart-shaped, others long and oval like little riverboats. Now it's time to paint. Acrylic paints work beautifully, and if you prefer markers, oil-based paint pens are wonderfully easy to use, especially for hands that may not be as steady as they once were. You can create anything cheerful: flowers, butterflies, rainbows, or simple words like hope, joy, still growing. There's no need to be an artist. In fact, the charm of kindness stones comes from their handmade imperfection. Wobbly letters, uneven hearts. It's not about impressing, it's about expressing. Once painted, let them dry fully and seal with a clear outdoor varnish if you want them to last through the seasons. Then comes the fun part: placement. Tuck one beneath your favorite rosebush. Place another beside your porch step where the mail carrier might see it. Line a few along the base of your bird bath. Or nestle one in a potted plant you plan to give as a gift. For those who love to share kindness, stones can become quiet little blessings scattered through the neighborhood. Leave one on a walking trail, on a park bench, on a neighbor's porch. No need for explanation, the message will carry itself. For older hands, this project offers both creativity and connection. It's easy to do while seated, requires very few materials, and allows for short, joyful bursts of crafting. You can paint a single stone in 10 minutes, or sit with a warm drink and paint a dozen while listening to the radio. It's also a beautiful way to involve loved ones. Grandchildren adore painting kindness rocks, and they'll remember doing it with you. Each one becomes a memory sealed in color and stone. And when the garden feels quiet, or the world feels heavy, a small message painted by your own hand might just lift your heart. A whisper from yourself to yourself saying, "You're still here, you still bring light, you still matter." Because even a small stone can make someone stop, smile, and believe again. There's a special kind of joy that comes from watching birds flutter down into your garden. The rustle of feathers, the gentle splash, the way they shake their tiny wings with such freedom, such trust. A stone bird bath invites that magic into your world, offering water welcome and a sense that your garden is alive, not just with plants, but with song. And it doesn't take much to create one. You don't need a towering fountain or a heavy cement structure. In fact, many of the most beautiful bird baths are simple, shallow, and made from pieces you might already have. Start with a sturdy base. This could be a thick old tree stump, a wide clay pot turned upside down, or even a stack of flat stones or bricks, something solid and stable at waist or knee height. Then choose your bowl. A shallow stone basin is ideal, but you can also use a ceramic pie dish, a vintage enamel bowl, or a gently curved plant saucer. If it holds water and sits flat, it's perfect. Place the bowl securely atop the pedestal. Make sure it's balanced and won't tip in the wind or under a bird's weight. You can add a few river pebbles to the bottom for birds to perch on and to create depth without needing to fill it too high. Keep the water shallow, just an inch or two, so it's safe for small visitors. Once it's in place, surround the base with flowers, creeping herbs, or soft moss to help it blend into the garden naturally. If mobility is a concern, situate the bird bath close to a chair, a window, or a shaded patio spot so you can enjoy the activity without needing to move far. And oh, the visitors you'll attract. Finches, sparrows, robins, even butterflies and bees come for a gentle sip. In the quiet hours of morning or the golden hush before dusk, your bird bath becomes a little stage for nature's daily performance. To keep it fresh and safe, simply empty and refill every few days. No scrubbing, no chemicals, just clean water and gentle care. If lifting the bowl is tricky, use a small pitcher to top it off, or install a solar pump to create a soft, bubbling effect. that keeps the water circulating and more inviting. What you're building here isn't just a water dish. It's a haven, a space of refuge for birds, yes, but also for yourself. A place to sit and be still, to remember that even in the smallest gardens, life continues to flutter, to sparkle, to sing. And perhaps most beautiful of all, the birds don't care if your bath is fancy. They come for the kindness in it, the welcome, the water placed with love, much like we do in gardens and in life. There's a quiet kind of wisdom in the garden. Time moves differently here. It's not measured by schedules or alarms, but by sunlight, shadows, and the slow unfurling of petals. What if you could honor that rhythm not with ticking hands, but with a stone clock laid gently into the earth, a circle of 12 stones, each one marking a moment? Not to hurry you, but to remind you this moment right now is enough. A garden clock made of stones is both whimsical and deeply grounding. It doesn't have to keep perfect time. It's a poetic feature part, art part, compass part, gentle nod to the hours we spend growing, tending, and just being. Start by choosing your space. A flat area in your yard, the center of a small patio, or even a sunny balcony can serve as your clock face. Clear the area, level it, and lay down a base of gravel, mulch, or fine soil. Then place 12 stones in a wide circle, one for each hour on the clock. You can use river rocks, flat slate, or even painted kindness stones from your collection. To make the layout easier, use a piece of string tied to a center stake to guide your spacing, just like drawing a clock as a child. You don't need perfection. A little wobble, a bit of unevenness, that's life, isn't it? For the clock's hands, consider using a slender stick, a small sundial, or even a garden ornament like a metal bird or butterfly. You can make it functional with sunlight or purely decorative, a visual reminder of the rhythm of your days. Around the edges of your stone clock, you can plant low-growing herbs or flowers, creeping thyme, chamomile, or moss to soften the design. Or keep it bare and simple, letting the stones speak for themselves. For those with limited space or mobility, this idea can be scaled down beautifully. Try making a mini clock on a tabletop tray with pebbles and tiny labels. Or glue stones onto a wooden board and hang it as wall art for your porch. A gentle nod to garden time that doesn't require any bending at all. And as the sun passes over your garden, each day shadows will shift across your clock face, marking time not in urgency, but in grace. You might sit beside it with your tea at 10, water your basil at noon, watch the shadows stretch at 5. It becomes a gentle rhythm uniquely yours. Because here time isn't something to chase. It's something to feel, to notice in the warmth of the soil, the chirp of a finch, the scent of lavender on a breeze. This clock isn't just made of stone, it's made of presence. A reminder every time you see it that life keeps moving, but you don't have to rush to keep up. Some of the best stories don't come from books, they come from your hands, your voice, and the soft rustle of leaves on a garden afternoon. And if you have grandchildren or young visitors from time to time, there's a sweet and simple way to bring a little magic into your time together story stones. These are small stones painted or drawn with pictures, a sun, a tree, a cat, a castle. When gathered in a basket or bowl, they become tools for imagination. You and your little ones can pull one stone at a time and weave a story piece by piece, building a tale that's unique every time. To make your own story stones, start with small, smooth pebbles, easy to hold, not too heavy. You can gather them on walks, purchase a bag from a craft or garden store, or even repurpose stones from old garden borders. Wash and dry them, then use acrylic paints or oil-based markers to add simple images, a butterfly, a heart, a raindrop, a dog, a house. You don't have to be a painter, stick figures and symbols work just as well. In fact, the more homemade they look, the more charming they become. Once dry, seal them with a clear coat if they'll live outdoors, or store them in a little tin or wooden box if you'd like to keep them inside. On your next visit with a grandchild, sit together in a shady spot, maybe on the porch under your favorite tree, or next to a bed of blooming daisies. Pour out the stones between you like a treasure trove. Then, let the magic begin. You might start. Once upon a time, there was a stone cat who lived under a stone moon. And before long, the child is laughing, imagining adding their own twists and turns. It becomes a shared world built from the simplest of things. These stones aren't just toys, they're bridges. Between generations, between moments, between imagination and memory. They invite conversation, giggles, curiosity. And they make your garden not just a place of beauty, but a place of play. You can leave the stones tucked around the garden like Easter eggs waiting to be found. Or you can let the children place them beside certain plants, a frog near the lily pad, a fairy near the rose bush, a fish near the bird bath. The garden becomes part of the story, and the story becomes part of the garden. And when the children go home, the stones remain. Quiet. Waiting. Like memories that don't fade, just rest. Because when you paint a story stone, you're not just making a craft. You're planting a moment, one that will grow in the heart of a child long after the garden's gone quiet. Every garden deserves a bit of gallery magic, a place where the natural becomes art and the ordinary becomes meaningful. And what better way to do that than by creating a framed stone art panel? It's a project that's as peaceful as it is beautiful, combining creativity, upcycling, and the timeless charm of stone into something you can hang like a painting indoors or out. Think of it as your own little exhibit, not in a museum, but right there on your fence, your shed wall, or your porch. To begin, find a frame. This could be an old wooden picture frame from a thrift store, a cabinet door, or even the rim of an unused serving tray. The frame doesn't need to be fancy. In fact, a bit of wear or chipping only adds character. Make sure it's sturdy and can be hung or leaned securely. For the backing, attach a piece of plywood foam board or a thick cardboard panel inside the frame. This will be your canvas. Then gather your materials, small flat stones, pebbles, broken tiles, or even shells and bits of glass. Lay them out first without glue, playing with shape and flow. You might create a tree, a sun, a spiral, or just a soothing, abstract wave. The process is quiet and deeply meditative, like arranging puzzle pieces made by nature. You're not forcing anything, just gently placing, seeing what fits, and letting the design come together slowly. Use strong garden-safe glue or a hot glue gun if working indoors. Press each piece gently, taking your time. You can add small pieces of driftwood, pressed flowers, or painted accents if you like. The result will be something uniquely yours, a moment captured in textures and shapes. And best of all, this is a sitting-down project. Perfect for those slower days when your hands want to stay busy, but your body asks you to rest. You can work on it over days or weeks, returning when the mood strikes. There's no rush in art, only rhythm. Once complete, seal the entire piece with a clear outdoor spray if you plan to display it outside. Then choose a place to hang it near a seating area beside a potted plant or above a favorite bench. Let it surprise you each time you glance its way. For a smaller version, try making a series of mini panels and hanging them in a row like a triptych. Or create a gift for a loved one, a handmade treasure filled with warmth and natural charm. What you're crafting is more than a decoration. It's a reminder that creativity doesn't fade with age. It deepens, it ripens, it softens into something wise. Each stone you choose is a little part of your story, placed with intention, framed with love, and left to shine. There are moments in a garden when all you want is a place to sit, not to do, but simply to be. A place to rest your tea, watch a butterfly dance, or feel the warmth of the sun on your cheek. A mini stone bench can become just that, a humble throne of peace set low to the ground, built not for show but for stillness. You don't need a large structure or expensive materials. This bench can be as simple as 2 stone pedestals and a flat slab across the top, a design that's been used for centuries in courtyards, monasteries, and meditation paths. It's strong, grounded, and quietly elegant. To create yours, start with 2 stone blocks, bricks, or even upside-down clay pots as legs. Make sure they're wide enough for stability and placed on level ground so the bench won't wobble. If you're placing it in a grassy area, consider laying a small stone or brick base beneath each leg to keep it from sinking after rain.
Next, find a flat piece of stone, wood, or concrete that can rest across the top. It doesn't have to be long, even 2 feet will do. You can often find leftover stone slabs at local landscaping suppliers or salvage yards. Don't worry about chips or uneven color, the imperfections make it beautiful.
Once assembled, you have a bench that's strong enough to sit on, low enough to blend into the garden, and simple enough to build in under an hour. And if lifting isn't an option, This is a perfect project to enlist a kind neighbor or family member. Just show them your vision, the layout is easy, and the result is lasting. You might place your bench beneath a climbing rose near a cluster of lavender or beside a favorite tree. Add a small cushion or weatherproof pillow if you'd like a bit of softness. Over time, the bench may gather a little moss on the legs or weather gently with age, just like us. And when you sit on it, the garden feels different, slower, more tender. You're not rushing through chores or pulling weeds. You're receiving light air birdsong, the hush between breezes. Even 10 minutes on a stone bench can feel like a small retreat. A reset. For those who journal, this can be your writing perch. For those who meditate, a sacred space. And for those who simply wish to sit and think, it's enough just to be there. Because sometimes a bench is not just furniture, it's a statement. A declaration that you deserve rest. That your garden is not only a space for growing plants, but a space for tending your own soul. So sit, dear friend. The garden is waiting to hold you. Some of the most charming garden beds aren't grand or overflowing. They're small, neatly bordered, and quietly cared for. A stone-framed planter bed brings that kind of grace to any outdoor space. It's like setting a table for nature, inviting, contained, and ready for something beautiful to grow. And for older gardeners, especially those who prefer less bending or want to manage their garden with ease, this idea is a gift. To begin, choose a spot that's easy to access. It could be a sunny corner near your porch beside a walkway, or even on a balcony with a few large containers. The key is visibility and comfort, a space where you can stand or sit nearby without needing to reach or strain. Next, gather your border stones. Flat landscaping stones, reclaimed bricks, or even pieces of concrete edging all work well. You might find them at a local thrift yard, salvage store, or even left over from a previous project. Don't worry if they don't match. The variation in color and shape adds charm. Like people, each stone brings its own texture to the group. Outline the shape of your planter, a simple square, a long rectangle, or even a circular bed around a tree stump. Lay the stones in a row about 1 or 2 stones high. There's no need to dig or cement anything unless you wish to. Gravity and time will help them settle. Now fill the center with good soil, a rich blend of compost, peat, and garden mix. Because the border contains the soil, you don't have to build up too high, just enough to nourish your plants and allow for easier tending. This stone-framed bed is perfect for herbs, seasonal flowers, or even a mix of leafy greens. You can tuck in basil, parsley, marigolds, or pansies, whatever brings you joy when you look at it or pluck a leaf. If lifting heavy bags of soil is a concern, try smaller bags or ask a friend or neighbor to help with the initial fill. Once it's set up, the maintenance is light. Just a little water, a bit of snipping, and plenty of admiring. You can decorate the edges with painted kindness stones, tuck a solar light at each corner, or lay a small pebble path leading up to it. Let it become part of the story. Your garden tells a framed moment of color, scent, and gentle care. And here's the quiet truth: sometimes creating boundaries gives us freedom. A framed bed means fewer weeds, easier watering, and less overwhelm. It says, this is enough. This little patch is mine to tend. In a world that often asks us to grow more, do more, be more, your stone-framed planter bed offers a gentle reminder. Just this, just here, just now. That is plenty. There's something sacred about candlelight in a garden, the soft flicker, the golden warmth, the way it makes even the simplest corner feel like a little ceremony. And when that light glows from within a stone stack, the effect is almost magical, like discovering a secret shrine right in your own backyard. A candle niche in a stone stack is a small but powerful way to bring light, warmth, and a sense of ritual into your outdoor space. And best of all, it's easy to create. No tools, no wires, just care and imagination. To begin, gather several flat or gently rounded stones. You'll want ones that stack well. A little variation is fine, but aim for balance. Start by building a simple tower 3 to 5 stones high. As you stack, leave a gap or hollow space in the front, just wide enough to tuck in a tea light or small LED candle. If lifting heavy stones is a concern, use lighter materials like faux stone or cement castings that look real but are much easier to handle. This niche doesn't need to be large. Even a short 2-foot stack can hold a glowing heart. Once you've formed your opening, make sure it's stable. Wedge smaller stones around the sides for support, or nestle the stack into a bed of gravel to keep it steady. Then simply place your candle. For safety and ease, solar-powered LED candles are wonderful. They charge during the day and come to life at dusk, casting their quiet light through the opening. If your garden allows a real tea light in a small glass holder can offer a more traditional warmth for special evenings. Place your stone stack in a corner that invites pause beside your bench near a garden path or close to a favorite flower pot. Surround it with soft plants like lamb's ear or creeping thyme, or leave it bare so the light spills freely across the stones. And what does this little structure offer more than beauty? More than glow. It offers a moment, a place to light a candle for someone you miss, a way to mark the changing season, a gesture of presence in a world that so often pulls us away. For older hands, this project is wonderfully forgiving. There's no perfect shape, no strict rules, just the quiet act of stacking, of choosing stones, arranging them gently, and tucking a light into the center. It becomes a kind of prayer, even if no words are spoken. And in the evenings, when the garden hushes and the air grows cool, that single flicker becomes something steady and sure, like you. Because sometimes all we need is a small light, held in stone, placed with love. There's a special power in words, the ones we whisper to ourselves, the ones we pass along, and the ones that anchor us when the world feels unsteady. A garden blessing stone holds one simple phrase, carved or painted into stone, placed gently in your space like a quiet reminder. It doesn't ask for attention. It just waits, offering peace, purpose, or maybe just the comfort of something true. This final idea may be the smallest in size, but its meaning can run the deepest. To begin, choose a flat stone that fits in your hand, not too big, not too small. A river rock paving stone, or even a broken piece of concrete slab, can work beautifully. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, a bit of unevenness makes it feel more personal. Next, decide on your message. It could be a word: peace, grow, breathe, or a short phrase: still becoming. You are enough, loved and rooted. Some people choose a quote from scripture or poetry. Others simply write a loved one's name, someone who once walked among the garden beds and whose memory still blooms each season. There are several ways to add the blessing to your stone. Engraving. If you're comfortable with tools or know someone who is, you can gently etch the words into the surface using a rotary tool. Painting. Acrylic paint pens are easy to use and work well for handwriting or simple illustrations. Once dry, seal it with an outdoor varnish to help it last. Decoupage or transfer. For those who prefer a clean look, you can print your phrase on paper, then use decoupage glue to affix and seal it onto the stone. Once your blessing stone is complete, choose a special place for it, tucked beneath your favorite plant, nestled beside the bird bath, or sitting at the edge of your porch steps, where you'll see it each day. You might even keep it inside near a windowsill garden where light touches it each morning. For those with limited space or strength, this project is gentle and kind. You can complete it at a table with minimal materials. And if mobility is limited, ask a loved one to place it outdoors for you. It becomes a collaboration, your words, their hands, shared love. Over time, the stone may weather, the paint may fade slightly, but the message, the blessing, that part lingers. In fact, it often becomes stronger as the years pass. Some gardeners make a new blessing stone each year, marking birthdays or anniversaries. Others create a small circle of them, each stone holding a chapter of their life. Some give them away, passing on encouragement like seeds. Because what we plant in our gardens is more than flowers. It's memory, it's kindness, it's the truth of who we are and who we're becoming. And as your blessing stone sits quietly in the soil, rain-washed and sun-warmed, it will say without ever speaking, "You made something beautiful, and you are still blooming." And now, dear friend, here we are, having walked together through 20 gentle ideas, each shaped not only by stone, but by care. You've seen how something as still and silent as a rock can hold light, memory, laughter, and life. Isn't that something, that even in a space no larger than a porch or a patio, there's room for beauty, not in spite of age, but because of it? Stone is not cold. It's not lifeless. In fact, it's the opposite. It holds warmth long after the sun has gone down. It endures, it listens, it gives shape and strength to every garden, big or small, much like you. Maybe you've found yourself drawn to the idea of a pebble mosaic beneath your feet, or a single lantern casting soft light at dusk. Maybe you imagined painting kindness rocks with your grandchildren, or sitting on a stone bench as birds gather at your homemade bath. Or maybe, just maybe, you saw your own reflection in the cairns and spirals, imperfect, balanced, quietly beautiful. Each of these ideas is more than a project. It's a practice, a way of grounding yourself, connecting to the earth, and making space not only for plants, but for peace, for pause, for presence. You don't need strong knees or deep pockets. You don't need big tools or even a green thumb. What you do need, you already have: imagination, wisdom, and a heart that's still curious. These stones, these bits of earth, are waiting for your touch, waiting to become something more: a bench, a path, a fountain, a blessing. So the next time you pass by a stone, don't just step over it. Stop, hold it, feel its weight in your palm. Know that in its stillness is a history older than memory and a future still unfolding. Because your garden is not just a place to grow things, it's a place to remember yourself, to reflect, to return to what matters. And each stone you place becomes a small declaration: I am still here. I am still creating. I am still full of light. Which idea from today spoke to your heart the most? I'd love to know. Leave a gentle comment below or share this video with someone who might enjoy this kind of peaceful inspiration. And if you'd like more calm, creative ways to tend your space and spirit, be sure to subscribe. There's always room here for another quiet soul. Until next time, may your garden be grounded, growing, and gorgeous. And may your days, like stones in sunlight, be filled with warmth, strength, and lasting beauty.